my girlfriend demanded, "Stop wasting money on your broke mom." "I deserve that money," I said. "Interesting choice." Then I showed her the bank statement naming my broke mom as the secret owner of the trust fund that pays for her entire lifestyle. Her panicked voicemails revealed. Hard to believe how drastically life can change in 72 hours. Been sitting here trying to organize my thoughts, so bear with me as I attempt to make sense of the whirlwind that just tore through my life. I'm 30 years old, work as a software developer, and until recently lived with my girlfriend of 2 years, Melissa. I'm reasonably comfortable financially, though I've never been flashy about it. My mom raised me with solid Midwestern values. Work hard, stay humble, help others when you can. Speaking of my mom, she's the absolute cornerstone of my life. Single mother who raised me after my dad died when I was 6. She worked 3 jobs at one point, waitressing mornings, bookkeeping afternoons, and night shifts at a gas station on weekends. I remember waking up to handwritten notes with little drawings because she'd already left for work but wanted me to feel her presence. Somehow she still made it to every school event that mattered, usually exhausted but always there. When I got a scholarship to college, first generation on my mom's side to attend, she cried for hours. Then she picked up extra shifts to help with expenses the scholarship didn't cover. She never complained, not once. Just kept saying how proud she was. After graduation, when my career started taking off, my first priority was making her life easier. I convinced her to cut back to just one part-time job at the local library, which she loves. I cover her major expenses. Rent on her modest apartment, utilities, medical insurance. She fought me on it initially, stubborn as always, but I wore her down by framing it as paying back my student loans to the Bank of Mom. That background is important to understand what happened next. Melissa and I met at a tech conference in Chicago. She was smart, ambitious, working for a marketing firm. The attraction was immediate, and within 6 months we moved in together. We signed a 2-year lease with both our names on it, though I paid the security deposit since she was between paychecks at the time. Things were great at first. We traveled, enjoyed the city, built what I thought was a solid relationship. About a year in, so approximately 18 months ago, Melissa lost her job during company restructuring. She was devastated and stressed about finances. I suggested she take her time finding the right next opportunity rather than rushing into something she'd hate. I could cover our expenses for a while. She was grateful, promised it would be temporary. 6 months passed. Interviews happened, but no job materialized. I didn't push. The job market can be brutal, and her confidence was shaken. Instead, I continued covering our rent, bills, and her car payment. When she mentioned wanting to try freelance marketing about 9 months ago, I supported her and even helped her set up a home office. Over time, I noticed subtle shifts in our dynamic. The gratitude faded. Small comments emerged about my obligation to take care of things since I made more than enough. Occasional shopping sprees went from exciting treats to expected events. I didn't mind supporting her, but the entitlement was concerning. Last week was Mom's 59th birthday. I took a few days off to drive to my hometown and celebrate with her. I'd arranged a small party with her friends at her favorite restaurant, nothing extravagant, but thoughtfully planned. Melissa declined to come, citing a potential client meeting that could be her big break. I was disappointed but understood. Career advancement matters, especially when you're rebuilding. I drove the 4 hours to my hometown alone, helped decorate the restaurant's private room with photos from Mom's life, and surprised her with her oldest friends from high school and the library. Seeing her face when she walked in, pure shock melting into joy, was everything. We had a wonderful evening of stories, laughter, and happy tears. Mom kept squeezing my hand under the table, whispering thank you, when others weren't listening. When everyone left, Mom and I sat in her apartment drinking tea. She asked about Melissa, and I explained the situation. "I'm sorry she couldn't make it," Mom said, then hesitated. "But I'm not sorry I had you all to myself." We laughed, and then she grew serious. "James, I want you to know how proud I am of the man you've become. Your generosity, with your time, your resources, your heart, it's what I always hoped to see in you." Simple words, but they hit deep. This woman who sacrificed everything for me was proud of who I'd become. Nothing could matter more. I drove back Sunday evening feeling content. Walked into the apartment around 9 p.m. to find Melissa dressed up, clearly annoyed. "Finally," she said. "I texted you 3 times. Dinner with Shannon and Mark started an hour ago." I checked my phone. Sure enough, 3 texts I'd missed while driving, an impromptu dinner with her friends that she'd arranged while I was away. "Sorry, I was driving. Didn't see these. I'm pretty wiped from the trip anyway. Mind if I skip tonight?" She rolled her eyes dramatically. "Of course. Always too tired when it's something I want to do." I was about to respond when she noticed the shopping bag in my hand, a small gift I'd picked up for her in my hometown. "What's that? You bought me something?" Her tone shifted instantly from irritation to excitement. I handed her the bag with the local artisan necklace I'd found, thinking she'd like the unique design. She examined it, smile fading. "Is this handmade?" "Yeah, from this amazing little shop in my hometown. The artist uses reclaimed materials, and—" "How much was it?" she interrupted. The question caught me off guard. "I don't remember exactly. Maybe $70? Her face fell completely. "Seriously? You spent the whole weekend with your mom? Probably dropped hundreds on her birthday, and I get a $70 craft project?" I stared at her, stunned. "It's not about the price. I thought you'd like the design." "Well, I don't," she said, dropping the necklace back into the bag. "You know what would be a nice gift? Covering my credit card this month. It's a little high." Something in her cavalier tone set off warning bells. "How high?" "Just over 5,000. I almost choked. 5,000? On what? She waved dismissively. "Necessary expenses. That marketing course I told you about. Some networking lunches. A few outfits for meetings." I knew for a fact there had been no marketing course or important meetings, but there had been several shopping bags from high-end stores appearing in our closet. "Melissa, we agreed you'd stick to the budget while building your freelance business." "Oh my God, not this again," she groaned. "You sound like an accountant, not a boyfriend. Why do you care so much? Your job more than covers it." "It's not about whether I can cover it. It's about responsibility and being partners." She crossed her arms. "Partners? I've been stuck in this apartment for months trying to rebuild my career while you get to be the big successful provider. Do you know how that feels? I've supported your choice to go freelance. I've covered our expenses to give you time. While nickel and diming me on everything. Meanwhile, you're throwing money at your mom like she's some charity case." The room seemed to go silent, though I could hear blood rushing in my ears. "What did you just say about my mom?" Melissa must have realized she'd crossed a line because she backpedaled slightly. "Look, I get that you want to help her, but she's an adult. She chose her path. Why is that your financial burden?" I kept my voice deliberately calm. "My mother worked herself to exhaustion to give me opportunities. Supporting her isn't a burden. It's a privilege." "It's ridiculous. She should have planned better. Maybe gotten more education or made different choices. Why should your success go towards subsidizing her failure to launch?" Each word felt like a physical blow. This woman, who had been living completely on my dime for months, was calling my hardworking mother a failure. She lives in that tiny apartment in the middle of nowhere, working at a library for what, minimum wage? Meanwhile, I'm trying to build something here, and you scrutinize every expense. I took a deep breath. "Melissa, you need to stop." But she was on a roll now. "No, you need to wake up. You're wasting thousands on your broke mom when that money could be supporting our future. I deserve that money more than she does. I'm your partner, your future. She's your past." I looked at her. Really looked at her, and suddenly saw her clearly for the first time. The entitled, shallow person she'd either become or perhaps always been underneath the charm. "Interesting choice of words," I said quietly. She seemed taken aback by my calm. "What? You said you deserve that money more than my broke mom does." "Well, I do. I'm building a career, a life with you. She's just the primary beneficiary and co-trustee of the Dixon Family Trust," I finished. Her face went blank. "The what?" I walked to our home office, retrieved a folder, and returned to place a financial statement on the coffee table in front of her. It was the quarterly summary from Northern Trust, the bank that administers the trust, the Dixon Family Trust, currently valued at just over $11 million. Her eyes widened as she stared at the statement showing the trust's quarterly performance. with my mother's name clearly listed as primary beneficiary. "I don't understand," she stammered, reaching for the paper. My dad's family owned a chain of auto parts stores across 3 states. When he died, he left everything in a trust for Mom and me. Mom was only 35, grieving with a 6-year-old to raise. His financial advisors suggested she use the money to maintain our lifestyle. Melissa was staring at me now, color draining from her face. But Mom had other ideas. She decided that money was for emergencies and my education only. She wanted me to understand the value of hard work, to know what it meant to earn something. So she worked those multiple jobs while millions sat in the trust, growing under professional management. But your apartment, your car, they're nice but not flashy? That's intentional. The trust is professionally managed by Northern Trust, but Mom has final say on distributions as primary beneficiary. I'm the secondary beneficiary, which means I'll inherit the trust eventually. When I finished college, the trustees started giving me a monthly stipend. Enough to be comfortable but not extravagant. Around $5,000 a month, which is why I can support both you and contribute to my mom's expenses. I paused, then added, the condition was that I live within a reasonable budget and use any extra to help others. The rent I pay for her apartment, her insurance, all of that, it comes from my stipend, which she could cut off tomorrow if she wanted to. But she never would, because she trusts me. Melissa sank onto the couch, the financial statement trembling in her hands. So all this time, my broke mom has been the one who ultimately controls the money that's been supporting you during your career transition. I let that sink in for a moment before continuing. Every month, I send Mom and the trustees the household budget breakdown. Rent, utilities, groceries, and yes, support for you during your career transition. Mom approves it all because she trusts my judgment and values my happiness. Melissa's expression morphed from shock to calculation so quickly it was almost comical. James, I had no idea. You never told me. No, I didn't, because Mom raised me to value people, not people who value money. I do value people. I value you. She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. You just said my mother is a failure who doesn't deserve my financial support. You said, and I quote, I deserve that money more than she does. I was upset. People say things they don't mean when they're upset. I shook my head. No, I think you meant exactly what you said. You just wouldn't have said it if you'd known she controlled the purse strings. The realization that she had spectacularly miscalculated seemed to hit her all at once. Her eyes darted around as if looking for an escape route. I need some time to think, I said. I'm going to a hotel tonight. I'd like you to start making arrangements to move out. Move out? You're kicking me out? Over one comment? Not over one comment. Over the person those comments revealed you to be. You can't just kick me out. My name is on the lease too. I'm not illegally evicting you. I'm telling you our relationship is over. And since the lease is up for renewal in 2 months anyway, we need to start making arrangements. I'll contact the landlord tomorrow about the options for one of us to take over the lease individually or for both of us to terminate early. I packed a small overnight bag while she followed me around the apartment, alternating between apologies, justifications, and accusations that I'd trapped her by not disclosing the family finances. As I headed for the door, she grabbed my arm. At least tell me which hotel. We need to talk this through. No, we don't, I said, gently removing her hand. I'll call you tomorrow after you've had time to process this. I drove to a nearby hotel, checked in, and turned off my phone. I needed space to think, to process the shocking glimpse I'd gotten of the person I'd been building a life with. In the morning, I turned my phone back on to find 27 missed calls and 16 voicemails from Melissa. I steeled myself and started listening. The first few were tearful apologies. I didn't mean it. I was stressed about money. Please come home so we can talk. Then they evolved. You deliberately hid your family's wealth from me. That's a form of dishonesty too, you know? By voicemail 7, she'd shifted to bargaining. I've been thinking about what happened. I should have been more sensitive about your mom. She seems great, really. Maybe we could visit her next weekend? I'd love to get to know her better. The 10th message took a darker turn. You think you're so clever, don't you? Setting me up like that? Well, guess what? I've been talking to my friend's brother who's a lawyer. He says I might have a case for financial misrepresentation since we've been living as domestic partners. That made me laugh out loud in my hotel room. Even if such a claim had any legal merit, which my subsequent research confirmed it absolutely did not, she'd have to explain to a judge why she deserved compensation for being misled about my wealth, while simultaneously living entirely on my dime for over a year. The final voicemail, left at 3 a.m., was the most revealing. Okay, I've been drinking, so I'm just gonna say it. Yes, I said some awful things about your mom. And yes, if I'd known she was loaded, I obviously wouldn't have said them. But that doesn't make them untrue. She did waste her life working those menial jobs when she didn't have to. That was her choice. And it was stupid. Just like you're being stupid now, throwing away what we have over some misplaced loyalty to mommy. Call me back when you grow up and realize what you're losing. I deleted the voicemails, checked out of the hotel, and drove home with complete clarity about what needed to happen next. The apartment was empty when I arrived, though Melissa had apparently left in a hurry. Drawers were open, items scattered. On the kitchen counter was the artisan necklace I'd given her, along with a note. Keep your cheap gift. I'll send you an address for where to forward my mail. I didn't change the locks. I know tenants' rights well enough to understand that would be illegal since her name was on the lease. Instead, I called our landlord, explained that we were breaking up, and inquired about options. Since our lease had only 2 months left, he was amenable to either of us taking it over individually or both of us terminating early without penalty if we could find new tenants quickly. I then called the trust's financial advisor to update them on the situation and ensure Melissa couldn't somehow access any trust information. The advisor assured me that all information was secure and suggested I review my personal bank accounts and credit reports just to be safe. Then I called my mother. Hey, sweetheart, she answered, warmth in her voice. How are things with Melissa? Did she like her necklace? I took a deep breath. Mom, I need to tell you something. I recounted everything, Melissa's comments, my revelation about the trust, the voicemails. Mom listened quietly, only sighing once when I described Melissa calling her a failure. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm so sorry, James. I know you cared for her. I thought I did, I said, but I don't think I ever really knew her. Some people show their true selves slowly, Mom said. You didn't do anything wrong by seeing the best in her. I just keep thinking about what she said, that you wasted your life working those jobs. Mom chuckled. Oh, honey, those jobs gave me purpose during the darkest time of my life. They put me in control when everything felt chaotic. The trust was a safety net, yes, but the work gave me dignity. I'm not ashamed of a single day I spent serving others. That's my mom, turning even the harshest criticism into a lesson in dignity. Besides, she continued, how else would I have met all my wonderful friends? Or shown my son the value of hard work? Money in a bank account doesn't teach character. We talked for another hour, Mom gently helping me process my grief over the relationship while never once saying I told you so, though she'd expressed reservations about Melissa from the beginning. Before hanging up, Mom said something that's been echoing in my head ever since. The right person won't need to know about the trust to treat both of us with respect. It's been 3 weeks now. Melissa and I have communicated only through email about the logistics of separating our lives. She's found a new apartment and will be moving her remaining belongings this weekend when I'll be conveniently out of town. The landlord has already approved me to take over the lease on my own. I received one final text from her last week. I'm sorry for what I said about your mom, but I'm not sorry for wanting more than a boyfriend who hides his wealth and lives like he's middle class. We could have had an amazing life if you weren't so hung up on proving you're not privileged. Good luck finding someone who's okay with your weird family money issues. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Yesterday, I contacted the director of the library where Mom works. After ensuring there would be no conflict of interest, since Mom is not involved in financial decisions for the library, I arranged to establish a dedicated fund through the library's 501c3 foundation, specifically for the children's reading program she's been trying to get off the ground for years. The director was thrilled and asked if I'd like to be present when they shared the news with her. I declined, but asked if I could call later to hear how it went. When the director called back, he was laughing. "Your mom was speechless. I've never seen her like that. When she finally found her words, she immediately asked if this was your doing." "What did you tell her?" I asked. I stuck to the script that the donor wished to remain anonymous but wanted to honor someone who taught them that true wealth is measured by how much you give, not how much you have. "And?" She said, "That sounds exactly like something my son would say. She knows it was you, but she respected the anonymity." When I spoke with Mom later, she scolded me gently, but couldn't hide her excitement about all the books they could now purchase. As for me, I'm healing. The apartment feels empty without Melissa, but also cleaner somehow. Like the air has been cleared of a subtle toxin I hadn't realized I was breathing. I've been reflecting on what I want in a partner, someone who values the things that truly matter, who would love my mother not for her bank account, but for the extraordinary heart that made her work multiple jobs to teach her son about dignity and perseverance. Money reveals character, both when you think someone has it and when you think they don't. I learned that lesson the hard way, but Mom would say, those are the lessons that stick. So that's where things stand. A relationship ended, but my eyes were opened. Sometimes the most painful revelations are also the most necessary ones. And Mom's reading program starts next month. I'll be driving back to see the first session. Some things are worth more than all the money in that trust fund. Like the smile on my mother's face when a child discovers the magic of reading, guided by the woman some would call broke, but who has always been the richest person I know. Update. Thank you all for the kind words and support. Many have asked questions, so I'll try to address the common ones. 1. Yes, I've officially broken all ties with Melissa. All her belongings have been moved out, and we've formally separated our lives. The lease transition is complete, with me remaining in the apartment and her signing a release of tenancy with the landlord's approval. 2. Several people asked why I hid the trust from Melissa if I was serious about her. Fair question. It wasn't about testing her or tricking her. The trust is something I never think about day to day. Mom raised me to live within a reasonable budget, and that's just how I've always approached life. By the time things got serious with Melissa, it felt awkward to suddenly announce, "Oh, by the way, my mom's secretly wealthy." Then after she lost her job and I started supporting her, it seemed like it would come across as holding financial power over her head. In retrospect, I should have found a way to be more transparent. But honestly, her reaction to my mom's supposed poverty told me everything I needed to know about her character. 3. For those concerned about my mom wasting her life at minimum wage jobs, first, the library pays better than you might think. Second, and more importantly, she's doing what she loves. After I graduated college, she did go back to school herself and got a degree in library science, paid for by the trust but earned through her own hard work. She's turned down management positions because she prefers working directly with patrons, especially children. It's her choice, and I respect it completely. 4. Some have asked about the legal structure of the trust. It's a properly established family trust with professional trustees at Northern Trust who handle the investment management and administrative details. Mom is the primary beneficiary and a co-trustee, which gives her significant control over distributions. I'm the secondary beneficiary, meaning I'll inherit the trust assets eventually. My stipend is a formal arrangement approved by all trustees, not just Mom's personal decision, though she could petition to change it if she wanted to. 5. To the person who asked if Mom is single, I shared your comment with her, and she hasn't stopped laughing. She says to tell you she's happily married to her books, but she's flattered. Last night, Mom and I had a long talk about the trust and its future. She's consulting with the trust attorneys about establishing a foundation to support literacy programs in underserved communities. She said that money came to us through loss. It seems right that it should go back out into the world to create something positive. That's who she is, always thinking about how to turn difficulty into opportunity for herself and others. I'm still processing everything that happened with Melissa, but I'm grateful for the clarity it brought. Sometimes it takes seeing someone's true colors to appreciate the vibrant, genuine people already in your life. Mom has always been my gold standard for integrity. I just needed a reminder of how rare and valuable that quality really is. Update 2, 6 months later. Life has taken some unexpected but wonderful turns since my last update. The library's reading program has been an enormous success, with enrollment triple what Mom expected. She's absolutely in her element, and the local paper even did a feature on her, though she insisted on highlighting her colleagues rather than taking credit herself. That's Mom for you. On the personal front, I've started dating someone new in the most unexpected way. Remember that donation to the library? Well, it turned out the children's book illustrator they hired with part of those funds was a woman named Sarah. She and Mom hit it off immediately, bonding over their shared love of classic children's literature. After hearing about Sarah for weeks, Mom casually mentioned that she'd be in the city for a medical appointment, routine checkup, all fine, and suggested we all get dinner. I saw through her matchmaking immediately, but agreed because, well, Mom's judgment and character has proven to be pretty reliable. Sarah turned out to be thoughtful, creative, and completely down to earth. We connected over our similar upbringings. She was also raised by a single mom who worked multiple jobs. On our second date, I took her to my favorite hole-in-the-wall taco place, and she insisted on splitting the bill despite my protest. "I'm doing well with my illustration work," she said. "I don't expect to be subsidized." I nearly proposed on the spot. 4 months in, things are going wonderfully. I finally told her about the trust last month. Her reaction? She frowned slightly and said, "Does this change anything about who you are or how we relate to each other?" When I said no, she shrugged and said, "Then it's just information, not a defining feature." Then she went back to sketching designs for her next book. As for Melissa, I heard through mutual friends that she's engaged to a real estate developer she met just 2 months after our breakup. Her Instagram, which I admittedly checked once, shows her flaunting a massive diamond ring and posing in front of his luxury cars. I genuinely hope she's found what she's looking for. Mom met Sarah's mother last weekend when we all went to see Sarah's illustrations featured in a children's book exhibit. The two of them disappeared for hours, deep in conversation, while Sarah and I explored the rest of the museum. Later, Mom pulled me aside and whispered, "She was raised right. You can tell everything about a person by the parent who shaped them." I couldn't agree more. Every day, I'm grateful for the mother who taught me that true wealth has nothing to do with a bank balance and everything to do with how you treat the people around you, especially those who can do nothing for you in return. The trust continues to grow, as does Mom's vision for using it to support literacy and education. She's bringing me more into the planning process now, working closely with the trustees and attorneys to ensure everything is properly structured. She understands that someday it will be my responsibility to continue the legacy of giving. But her greatest gift was never the money. It was showing me, through her own quiet example, how to recognize genuine character in others. That's a lesson worth more than any trust fund.